Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin tonight with a simple idea, one that changed my life many years ago. Success doesn't start with habits, routines, or even discipline. Success starts with philosophy. What you believe about life, what you believe about yourself, what you believe about work, opportunity, responsibility, that becomes the foundation on which everything else is built. Because if the philosophy is weak, the results will always follow. But if the philosophy is strong, well, life begins to take on a whole new shape. Now, most people try to fix their lives from the outside. They rearrange their schedule, they download a new app, they buy a new planner, and that's all fine. But if you don't upgrade the mind that uses the tools won't do you much good. You don't build a tall building on soft soil, and you don't build a great life on a weak philosophy. What we want tonight is to fix the foundation, not just the furniture. Let me tell you, once I understood this, everything changed. I discovered that your personal philosophy becomes your personal operating system. It's the quiet rules you live by. It's the private logic that determines every public result. It's how you choose, how you behave, and ultimately, how you become. And if that philosophy is clear, strong, and intentionally chosen, it will guide your life with more power than willpower ever could. So tonight, our mission is simple. I want to help you build what I call the Consistency OS, a way to take the great ideas you've heard over the years, especially the ideas from my good friend, and turn them into a daily system you can trust. Not temporary inspiration, not a burst of motivation, but a way of living that upgrades your results because it upgrades you. We're going to take philosophy and translate it into practice. We're going to take wisdom and turn it into rhythm. And we're going to take ideas and build them into habits, small, simple disciplines, practiced every day until consistency stops being a struggle and becomes a strength. Because the truth is, my friends, you can't rise above the philosophy you live by. But once you build the right one, you'll discover something remarkable. Your habits change naturally. Your confidence grows steadily. And your results begin to follow you instead of you chasing them. So tonight, let's begin not with action, but with awareness. Not with effort, but with understanding. Because before you can build a consistent life, you must build a philosophy worthy of consistency. And that foundation, strong, steady, and clear, is where everything begins. Now, my friends, once we understand that philosophy is the beginning of all change, we must take the next step to intentionally design it. You see, everyone has a philosophy, whether they know it or not. The question isn't, do you have one? The question is it serving you? Because your philosophy is always at work, quietly, silently, invisibly shaping your future. For things to change, you have to change. And for things to change for you, you have to change. That's philosophy. That's not a motivational line. That's a blueprint for life. He wasn't talking about changing your hairstyle or changing your job or changing your morning routine. He was talking about the deepest change, the change in how you think. You see, your philosophy is your decision filter. It's how you interpret opportunity. It's how you respond to difficulty. It's the reason one person says, I can, and another says, I can't, even when they're looking at the same challenge. One philosophy builds bridges, another philosophy builds excuses, and both of them create a future long before the future arrives. Think about this. Two people can read the same book, attend the same seminar, meet the same mentor, and one person transforms their life while the other stays exactly the same. The difference is not the event, it's the philosophy behind the event. One says, what can I learn? The other says, I already know. One says, how do I apply this? The other says, that won't work for me. Same information, different philosophy, different destiny. So let's build yours with intention. Your Consistency OS begins with 3 philosophical pillars: simple, practical, powerful. Let me give them to you one by one. 1, responsibility. I am the source. Everything changes the moment you accept full responsibility. Not blame, responsibility. Blame looks backward. responsibility looks forward. When you say, I am responsible for my growth, you activate the most powerful force in success, ownership. Responsibility is the birthplace of consistency. 2, priority. First things first. Don't major in minor things. Most people aren't inconsistent because they lack effort. They're inconsistent because their priorities are misplaced. They're exhausted doing things that don't matter. Priority is the discipline of choosing what moves the needle every day. 3, standards. This is who I am. Your results rise only to the level of your standards. If your standards are low, your life will always return to the average. But when you set high standards, clear, firm, non-negotiable, you lift the entire structure of your life. Your standards determine your future long before your habits catch up. Now look at these 3 words: responsibility, priority, standards. These aren't motivational slogans. These are architectural beams. They are the floor, the walls, and the ceiling of your consistency OS. With these 3 in place, everything you do, your habits, your routines, your actions, suddenly make sense. Because they are built on purpose, not pressure. And here is the miracle. When the philosophy is right, discipline becomes easier. When the philosophy is sound, consistency becomes natural. When the philosophy is strong, results become predictable, because philosophy always precedes performance. So before you build routines, before you design schedules, before you download another productivity app, build your philosophy, strengthen it, clarify it, write it down. Because the clearer the philosophy, the stronger the future. Ladies and gentlemen, everything you want in life rests on this foundation. Without it, success is unstable. With it, success becomes inevitable. Now that we've built the foundation, let's talk about the next essential step, turning philosophy into daily action. Because a philosophy, no matter how powerful, won't change your life until it becomes a pattern, until it becomes a behavior, until it becomes something you do every single day. Success is a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Failure is simply a few errors in judgment repeated every day. And that's the whole story, right there. It's not the massive decisions that shape your life. It's the small ones you repeat every day, every week, every month, over and over again. That's what builds your future, your daily disciplines. So let's convert our philosophy into action, one principle at a time. Because action is the bridge and consistency is the walkway. Let me show you how this works with 3 of most powerful ideas. 1, work harder on yourself than you do on your job, daily personal development. This is one of the greatest teachings I ever heard. Work harder on yourself, not your job. Because when you get better, everything else gets better. The daily action, just 30 minutes a day. That's all. 30 minutes of reading. 30 minutes of listening to something that nourishes the mind. 30 minutes that improve you. You don't need 3 hours. You don't need a weekend retreat. Just 30 minutes. Consistently. Because 30 minutes a day is not just time. It's transformation. 2, don't let your learning lead to knowledge. Let your learning lead to action. Apply 1 idea daily. Now this one changed my life. Because many people learn, but they do not apply. They are full of theories, full of quotes, full of seminars, but the results don't show up. Learning that does not lead to action becomes a burden. Learning that leads to action becomes a reward. So here is your daily action. After your 30 minutes of learning, choose 1 idea, just 1, and apply it today. Not 10 ideas, not 50, just 1. Because 1 idea applied every day creates a lifestyle of progress. 1 idea a day becomes 365 ideas a year. And that will change your life in ways motivation never could. 3, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. 1 environment check a day. This is one of the most important philosophies. Your environment is stronger than your willpower. Your circle shapes your standards. Who you are becoming is influenced by who you are around. So here's the daily discipline. Every day, Make one environment decision, one influence decision. It might be sending a message to someone who inspires you, unfollowing someone who discourages you, listening to a voice that lifts you, spending 5 minutes around a standard that challenges you. One small influence change every day, because your future isn't just shaped by what you do. It's shaped by what surrounds you. Now notice something powerful. None of these actions are dramatic. None of them require talent, money, or motivation. They only require consistency. 30 minutes of personal development. One applied idea. One environment decision. Do these every day, and philosophy becomes behavior. Behavior becomes habit. Habit becomes lifestyle. Lifestyle becomes destiny. This is how your consistency, OS, begins to operate. Not with pressure, not with perfection, but with simple disciplines repeated daily. You see, my friends, life change begins not with the big moments, but with the small ones. The moments when you live your philosophy instead of just believing it. The moments when action expresses intention. The moments when you do what you said you would do. Because a philosophy that never becomes a habit will never become a result. Now, my friends, once you've taken your philosophy and begun turning it into daily action, the next question becomes, where does all of this live? Where do you keep your ideas, your disciplines, your goals, your progress? Where do you store the blueprint of the person you are becoming? Because let me tell you something important. Success does not happen by accident, and it does not happen by memory. It happens by design, and design requires a place, a center, a hub, a home base. I call it the Rohn Command Center. Not because it's complicated, but because it gives you control. A place where your philosophy becomes visible, where your disciplines stay in front of you, where your future has a home. Your command center can be a notebook, a journal, a whiteboard, a digital planner, whatever suits you. The form does not matter. The clarity does. Let me give you the 4 essential components that make this command center work. 1. The Rohn Rule Board. These are my laws of life. Every success system begins with a set of laws. Not laws for the world, laws for you. Your top 5 philosophies. Your guiding principles. Your personal commandments. Write them where you can see them every day. Maybe it's work harder on yourself. First things first. Small disciplines daily. Environment shapes destiny. Intentions mean nothing without execution. These become your anchor, your compass, your personal constitution. Because when life gets chaotic, and it will, your rule board reminds you who you are and what you stand for. 2, the daily discipline list, what I do every day. Now that you have your philosophy, you need your practices, your daily disciplines. Not 20, not 14, not even 10, just 5 to 7 small actions that keep the system alive. For example, read 30 minutes. Apply one idea. Make one environment upgrade. Reflect for 5 minutes. Move your body. Work on your craft. Encourage someone. These are your non-negotiables. Your everyday bricks. Because a great life is not built in a week, it's built brick by brick, day after day. Your discipline list transforms wishes into structure. 3, the value log. How I became better today. This is one of the most powerful tools you will ever use, because you don't get paid for the hour, you get paid for the value you bring to the hour. So each day, write one line, just one. How did I increase my value today? Maybe you learned a new idea. Maybe you practiced a skill. Maybe you fixed a weakness. Maybe you improved your communication. Maybe you made a better decision. Write it down every day. Because when you record your value, you appreciate your progress. When you appreciate your progress, you create momentum. And momentum is the engine of consistency. 4, the weekly review window, wisdom over motion. Most people run through the week without ever reviewing the week. They're busy, but they never stop long enough to notice whether they're advancing or just spinning. Your weekly review window changes that. Once a week, same day, same time, you sit with your command center and ask, What worked this week? What didn't work? What did I learn? What must I correct? What will I improve next week? This is where you become not just a doer, but a designer. Not just a participant in life, but a leader of your life. Because reflection turns experience into wisdom. Without reflection, the same week repeats. With reflection, each week improves. That's the power of a command center. Now imagine these four components working together. Your rule board guides you. Your discipline list anchors you. Your value log grows you. Your weekly review refines you. And suddenly, your days have structure. Your weeks have purpose. Your progress becomes visible. Your philosophy becomes alive. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how consistency becomes more than a habit. It becomes a way of living, a system you can trust, a companion that keeps you on course. Because when you organize your life around your highest principles, you don't just stay consistent, you become consistent. Now, my friends, once your command center is in place, once your philosophy and your disciplines have a home, it's time to bring the whole system to life. And this is where the real magic begins. Because success is never built in a single day, it is built every day. Not in explosions of effort, but in small, quiet victories repeated consistently. Success is neither magical nor mysterious. Success is the natural consequence of consistently applying basic fundamentals. And this, my friends, is the essence of what I call the consistency loop. A simple cycle that repeats every day gently and steadily until consistency becomes your natural state. Let me break it down for you. The consistency loop has 4 parts, and when you practice these 4 parts daily, you create a rhythm that drives your life forward with almost effortless momentum. Identity. Who am I becoming? The first step in the loop is identity. Not goals, not tasks, identity. Because you don't stay consistent with what you want, you stay consistent with who you are. When you begin each day with the question, who am I becoming? You activate your highest standards. You bring your philosophy to the surface. You remind yourself of your direction. Maybe you're becoming more disciplined, more skilled, more valuable, more intentional, more capable. Whatever it is, identity comes first. Because identity fuels behavior. 2, action. What did I do today? Once identity is set, the next step is simple. Action. Not 100 actions. Just the actions you committed to. Your daily discipline, list those 5 or 6 small items, is your action plan. The loop doesn't ask for heroics. It asks for repetition. Read your 30 minutes. Apply your one idea. Improve your environment just a little. Practice your craft. Reflect for 5 minutes. These small actions done today are more valuable than big ideas postponed tomorrow. Remember, the future is built today, not someday. 3, feedback. What did I learn? Now here is where most people break the loop. They take action, but they never pause to evaluate the action. That's like shooting arrows without checking the target. Feedback is the moment in the day when you ask, what did today teach me? Maybe you learned that you waste your mornings if you don't prepare your night. Maybe you learned that your environment distracted you more than you expected. Maybe you learned that applying one idea a day is easier than you thought. Feedback transforms your day from an event into an education. Without feedback, you repeat the same mistakes. With feedback, each day becomes a stepping stone. 4, refinement. What will I improve tomorrow? And now the final step, refinement. This is where you adjust the system, not by tearing it down, but by tuning it. Not by starting over, but by improving what already works. Ask yourself, how can I make tomorrow 1% better? Maybe you wake up 10 minutes earlier. Maybe you remove a distraction. Maybe you simplify one habit. Maybe you adjust your priorities. Refinement is the gentle adjustment that prevents stagnation. It's what turns a week of effort into a month of progress. A month of progress into a year of transformation. Consistency is not about perfection, it's about correction. Now imagine living this loop every day. Identity in the morning, action in the day, feedback in the evening, refinement for tomorrow, small wins, simple actions, daily adjustments, steady progress. This loop is how you train consistency like a muscle. It's how you get better without burning out. It's how you move forward without rushing. It's how you build confidence without forcing motivation. And here's the miracle of the consistency loop. When you do it long enough, consistency becomes your identity. It becomes the person you are, the person others trust, the person you can rely on, the person who follows through, the person who builds rather than waits. Because when tiny wins happen daily, big wins become inevitable. Now, my friends, after we build the system, after we practice the loop, we must talk about the part of life we all face, the obstacles, the interruptions, the distractions, the emotional storms, the moments when consistency slips through our fingers. Because let me assure you, even the strongest system will encounter resistance. That's the nature of life. And consistency is not built by avoiding obstacles, but by responding to them with wisdom. Don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. That means challenges are not signals to quit, they're invitations to grow. So let's go through 3 of the most common consistency breakers, and I'll show you how to handle each one the Rohn way. 1. I don't feel like it. The emotion trap. This is the biggest one. The ultimate enemy of consistency, your feelings. You wake up tired. You feel uninspired. You feel stressed. You feel behind. And the mind whispers, let's skip today. It won't matter. But here's the lesson, changed everything. You cannot lead yourself with your emotions. You must lead yourself with your principles. Emotions fluctuate. Principles anchor. Emotions shift with the weather. Principles remain steady like bedrock. The Rohn solution, create a minimum version of every habit. If you don't feel like reading 30 minutes, read 3. If you don't feel like exercising, walk for 5 minutes. If you don't feel like applying one idea, send a message or take a micro action. Why? Because the goal is not perfection. The goal is continuity. A tiny version of the habit keeps the identity alive. And identity is what keeps you coming back. 2. I got distracted. The priority problem. Another great destroyer of consistency is distraction, not dramatic, dangerous distractions, just the small ones. The phone, the notification, the unnecessary obligation, the noise that comes disguised as importance. Don't major in minor things. And he was right. Most people lose consistency not because they lack effort, but because they spend it on the wrong things. The Rohn solution? Begin each day by defining your top 3 priorities before the world gets a chance to define them for you. If you choose your priorities in the morning, your day has structure. If you don't, your day gets stolen. Set your majors first, then handle the minors. That's the Rohn way. 3. I fell off track. The all or nothing illusion. Here's the 3rd obstacle. And this one kills more dreams than anything else. You miss a day, then you miss 2. Then suddenly the mind says, well, I guess the streak is over. I'll restart next week, maybe next month, maybe next year. Let me tell you something important. Consistency is not measured by streaks. Consistency is measured by returns. If you fall off, return. If you break the habit, rebuild the habit. If you slip, stand back up. Failure is not a single event. It's a few errors in judgment repeated daily. And guess what? Success is built the same way, just in the opposite direction. One good choice, then another, then another. The Rohn solution? When consistency breaks, don't restart. Reset. 3 steps. Reflect. Simplify. Recommit. You don't throw away the system, you adjust it. You don't punish yourself, you guide yourself. You don't wait for motivation, you return to discipline. Because the goal is not streak perfection, the goal is personal transformation. Now, imagine this, my friends. A person who does not depend on emotion to take action, a person who chooses their priorities before the world chooses for them, a person who returns quickly after setbacks. What do you call that? A consistent person, a disciplined person, a person who leads themselves well. Obstacles lose their power when the philosophy is strong, the system is simple, and the return is quick. Now, my friends, Once you understand the principles, once you build the command center, once you know how to overcome the obstacles, it's time to do something very important practice. Because a system is only alive when you live it. You don't learn discipline by reading about discipline. You learn discipline by practicing discipline. So I want to give you what I call the 7-day Rohn OS practice plan, a simple, elegant, powerful week that allows you to test the system, feel the system, and most importantly, experience the transformation that comes from daily consistency. Now, this plan is not about perfection. It's not about all-day effort. It's about 7 days of intentional living, 7 days of clarity, 7 days where you practice philosophy, discipline, and reflection in real time. Let's go through it day by day. Day 1, philosophy day, build the foundation. On day 1, you sit down with a blank page and you design your life philosophy. Not the philosophy you inherited, and not the philosophy you drifted into, but the philosophy you choose. You write your own rule board, your top 5 principles. These become the laws you live by. You put them on paper. You put them on your wall. You put them where your eyes can find them each morning. Because nothing becomes real until you write it down. Day 2, discipline day, create your daily list. On day 2, you build your daily discipline list, 5 to 7 small actions that keep you growing. Simple, measurable, repeatable. You decide 30 minutes of reading, 1 applied idea, 5 minutes of reflection, 1 environment upgrade. Practice a skill. These become your daily promises. And remember, the greatest form of discipline is keeping your own commitments to yourself. Day 3, environment day, upgrade your circle. On day 3, you examine your influences, your relationships, your digital inputs, your routines, your surroundings. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So today you ask, who lifts me? Who drains me? Who challenges me? Who distracts me? Then you make 1 upgrade, just 1. Remove a distraction. Reconnect with someone inspiring. Curate what enters your mind. Because consistency grows best in healthy soil. Day 4, learning day. Increase your value. On day 4, you dedicate yourself to becoming more valuable. You don't get paid for the hour. You get paid for the value you bring to the hour. So you read, you study, you listen, you learn. And at the end of the day, you write in your value log, here is how I became better today. This is where momentum begins. Day 5, action day. Apply 1 idea. On day 5, you take something you've learned and you apply it. Because knowledge without action is just entertainment. You send the message. You fix the problem. You start the project. You take the small step, just 1 action, 1 idea turned into practice. This is where philosophy becomes reality. Day 6, value day. Measure your growth. On day 6, you reflect on the week so far. You don't ask, what did I do? You ask, how did I grow? Growth may not be loud. It may not be dramatic. But if you wrote in your value log every day, you will see it. Better decisions, higher standards now. Clearer thinking, more discipline, less distraction. Day 6 is when the new you begins to feel familiar. Day 7, reflection day, turn experience into wisdom. And now we arrive at day 7, the most important day of all, reflection day. Don't just go through the day, get from the day. So you sit with your week and you ask, what worked? What didn't? What surprised me? What slowed me? What will I improve next week? Reflection turns 7 days of effort into 7 lessons of wisdom. This is where consistency stops being something you try and becomes something you understand. Now imagine the power of these 7 days. 7 days of clarity. 7 days of small wins. 7 days of philosophy lived out. 7 days where your future becomes more intentional. And the best part? After 1 week of this, you don't want to stop because you've tasted progress. You've felt momentum. You've seen discipline work. The 7-day Rohn OS is not the end. It's the beginning. A doorway into a new lifestyle. A consistent lifestyle. A disciplined lifestyle. A life built on values, not moods. On purpose, not pressure. And once you practice it, you'll never look at your days the same way again. Now, my friends, once you've completed the 7-day practice plan, something remarkable begins to happen. You start to see that consistency isn't an event, it's a lifestyle. It's not something you try to force, it's something you learn to live. And when you understand how to live it, your days take on a whole new rhythm. Your decisions become clearer, your habits become easier, your momentum becomes steady. This is what I call living the consistency OS, a philosophy-driven way of life that Jim Rohn himself would have applauded. A way of living where discipline is not pressure, but identity, where consistency is not a struggle, but a habit, and where results are not accidents, but the natural fruits of intentional days. Let me show you how this lifestyle works. 1. The morning review philosophy first. If you want to master your days, begin each morning by reviewing your philosophy. 5 minutes. That's all. Read your rule board. Read your principles. Remind yourself who you are becoming. Because the world is full of distractions ready to pull you off course. But if you start your day with your philosophy, the world has less power and you have more clarity. A day anchored in philosophy becomes a day governed by intention. 2. The daily system, simple disciplines consistently practiced. Once your mind is aligned, the next step is simple. Run your system. Not perfectly, just consistently. Do your daily disciplines. Check your list. Keep your promises. Discipline is the foundation upon which all success is built. And he was right. Your discipline list is not a chore. It is the architecture of your future. Every small action is a brick. Every brick builds the structure. And the structure becomes the life. It doesn't have to be dramatic, just consistent. 3. The evening reflection, wisdom over motion. At the end of the day, take 5 minutes, just 5, and reflect. Ask, what did I do well? Where did I slip? What did I learn? How can I adjust? This simple act turns your days into teachers, your habits into feedback, your effort into wisdom. A day reflected upon is a day converted into growth. A day unreflected is a day wasted. Reflection is how you ensure your life moves forward rather than in circles. 4. The weekly reset. Design, don't drift. Once a week, same time, same day, you reset. You open your command center. You check your logs. You review your priorities. You adjust your disciplines. You plan the next 7 days. Why? Because drifting is the enemy of consistency. But a weekly reset turns drifting into direction. It turns wandering into leadership. It turns confusion into clarity. Your life doesn't get better by chance. It gets better by change. And the weekly reset is where you make those changes consciously. 5. The monthly upgrade, a better system for a better you. Every month, you refine your OS. You ask, what worked? What needs to be simplified? What can be improved? You don't tear down the system, you upgrade the system. You don't chase new tools, you master the right tools. You don't overhaul your life, you enhance your life. This monthly upgrade ensures that as you become better, your system becomes better. And as your system becomes better, your results become better. This is alignment. This is compounding. This is how success becomes predictable. 6. The long-term vision, consistency becomes character. Now let me give you one of the greatest gifts of living the consistency OS. Consistency, done long enough, becomes character. And character is something people trust. Character is something opportunity responds to. Character is something success is attracted to. When you live consistently, you trust yourself. Others trust you. Opportunities find you. Results multiply. Not because you're chasing success, but because you're becoming the type of person success follows. Success is something you attract by the person you become. And when consistency becomes your lifestyle, your identity, your character, you attract a life that once seemed out of reach because you're no longer living reactively. You're living intentionally. You're not waiting for the right day. You're building the right life. My friends, living the consistency OS is not about pressure. It's not about perfection. It's about alignment. Align your philosophy with your actions. Align your actions with your habits. Align your habits with your standards. Align your standards with your future. When your life is aligned, consistency becomes natural. When consistency is natural, progress becomes automatic. And when progress becomes automatic, you rise, you improve, you elevate, you become. This is the Rohn lifestyle. Simple disciplines practiced daily, guided by a strong philosophy, anchored in intention, supported by a system, and refined by reflection. A lifestyle that builds you, a lifestyle that strengthens you, a lifestyle that leads you toward the highest version of yourself. My friends, as we bring this lesson to a close, I want to leave you with a thought that has shaped my life for decades. It is the simple truth that you don't have to chase success. You simply have to become the person who attracts it. And the path to becoming that person is built not in leaps and bounds, but in small, consistent steps, day after day after day. What we've built together, the Consistency OS, isn't a program, and it isn't a temporary burst of motivation. It's a framework for living, a way of thinking, a daily rhythm that transforms philosophy into action, action into habit, habit into character, and character into destiny. Because the greatest discovery you will ever make is this: when you upgrade the operator, you automatically upgrade the results. When you strengthen your philosophy, your decisions improve. When your decisions improve, your habits improve. When your habits improve, your results improve. And when your results improve, your life improves. It all begins with you, not your circumstances, not your schedule, not your resources, not your motivation, you. And that's why this system matters. The rule board keeps you grounded. The discipline list keeps you moving. The value log keeps you growing. The weekly review keeps you aligned. The consistency loop keeps you steady. The monthly upgrade keeps you evolving. And the philosophy behind it all keeps you becoming. Let me tell you, once you start living this way, not someday, not occasionally, but daily, you begin to feel something powerful rising within you. A quiet confidence, a steady strength, a sense of leadership over your own life. You begin to trust yourself again. You begin to keep promises to yourself. You begin to live with intention instead of impulse. And one day, without even realizing it, you look back and see a trail of consistent days behind you and a future of possibility ahead of you. Not because of luck, not because of chances, but because you lived your philosophy, you practiced your disciplines, and you honored your system. Success didn't visit you, it followed you. So tonight, take this OS and make it your own. Run it, refine it, strengthen it, and let it strengthen you. Because the world rewards consistency. Life rewards discipline. Opportunity rewards preparation. And your future will reward the person you decide to become, starting today. My friends, thank you for your time, your attention, and your commitment to growth. Now go build the life worthy of your potential.